Oh, that's how you start off a new episode with a nice can of Spindrift, brought to you by us. Just because we like it.
Someday they'll pay for that.
Maybe we can like backwards invoice them.
Hey, just so you know, we've been using this stuff for a while, so we're gonna retroactively send you an invoice.
Thank you. Hey everyone, Marcel and Dan here. We are on season 2, episode 2 of I'm Trying, Dude. And I wanted to switch up our thing today, where we talk about things that aren't discussed enough, but should be talked about more. But nah, it's not as smooth. Where we go deep, but we like to keep things light.
You tried it. You're like,
I was like, let me go off script. No,
You're like,
no.
nah, I'm gonna stick to it.
It sucks. Today's episode is called Crash, Burn, Learn. Lessons from taking L's, how men in particular, how we in particular, are dealing with losses, some of our biggest fuck-ups in life. I want to talk about some smaller fuck-ups, like some regular day shit that I think is important, and just taking accountability and what you can do with these losses. If you should just, go and off yourself if you've made a mistake, which you might.
Please don't.
Please don't.
If you're listening, don't do that.
No, of course not. Now I feel like I got to put a suicide prevention hotline number in the description. Fuck. Sometimes the jokes get too dark.
It's fine.
I watched some stand-up yesterday. It was like a German stand-up that was really fucking dark, inspired by some of the American greats.
Oh, yes.
Hey, man.
Dude, how are you feeling?
It's been a fucking tough week.
Yeah?
Yeah, I
It's
feel
Monday.
like I've sorry, like the past week, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, we're shooting on Mondays. Now you gave that away.
Sorry.
Last week,
It's been a tough week.
First week back was rough.
Yeah?
Felt like a failure a lot, actually. Felt like I was trying to do, the new year, trying to do all these things. So you have your goals set for yourself, and I wasn't in Europe for 3 weeks. Like coming back, I know it retroactively, but when you're in it, I always forget that I just need a week to reacclimate to America, to being here, to like everyday life, to working instead of just like letting loose and being with family. And then I beat myself up over it, and I try. Like it's been a nice lesson to like learn not to do that less. But it's been a little tough. But I'm glad I survived this week. Took a few lessons from that.
Do you feel better now?
Yeah, a lot better.
Okay.
I feel awesome.
Nice.
Actually,
Good.
Yeah, it's been a great Monday so far. How have you been feeling?
Transparently, a little overwhelmed. I think same as you. I haven't been traveling as much, but we're getting back into the swing of workflow and stuff. And I feel like traditionally, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in our kind of line of work, a lot of the creative work, or January in general, kind of feels like a slow time sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I tend to really go on the offensive when it comes to slow times. I'm like, oh, well,
I'm gonna fucking attack
I'm
this
like,
year.
Slow? What are you slow for? Who? I'm gonna do everything.
Yeah.
So I think I have been saying yes to a lot of stuff, and now there are conflicts hitting in my schedule and things I have to figure out. So I think it's been a nice week of the universe telling me, hey man, you need to prioritize things you want to prioritize, stick to those priorities, and just learn how to not load my plate up so much as I so often do. I feel like that's a constant complaint that I have. You can probably speak to that too. Like you'd be like, hey man, how you doing? I'm like, I'm fucking
I'm lucky if words come out instead of noises normally.
Yeah, true. Because I feel like I am very much I tend to bite off more than I can chew a lot. And I think this starting off the year on that note, like I'm very acclimated to feeling that way come like October, November, December, trying to close the year out on a strong note. So to start January already feeling like, oh boy, this is kind of tough, there's a lot of stuff going on, is a little overwhelming. But I do think that, much like you said, there are some lessons to be learned in these little failures or little faux pas or things that are setting me back that I can adjust and move forward in a better direction with. So I'm excited for that. I think everything's like a learning experience.
Do you have a little, like something concrete, like where you felt like, however small, that you failed or made a mistake in the last week, where you kind of were beating yourself up over it?
Absolutely.
Like, do you have something concrete?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, do you want to share it?
No.
Well, like,
what?
Like, this is not like a podcast where we talk about this stuff or anything. It's fine.
No, dude. To be completely honest with you, I think my relationship with food still is very touch and go. There's times where I'm like very good about, listening to my body and eating intuitively and stuff. And there's times like I'm a big stress eater. So if I feel any sort of like overwhelm or, stress, my first thought is like, oh, I need to just like bury that with like chips or something sweet. Like sugar is like my vice. A lot of people have like vices and stuff.
Yeah.
Some people have alcohol or gambling. Mine is just like sugar, dude. If I get like any bit of like, candy or whatever, I'm like, I will sit and eat like a full cake like that to that extent.
No,
like,
I'm
I'm
with
stressed
you.
out. I will have a cookie. Then I'm like, well, I'm going to eat them all because I'm stressed and it makes me feel good and that. So,
I also genuinely like quick slide in here when
Yeah.
it says like family size or like value pack. I'm like,
For who?
What
Yeah.
family?
Yeah. You don't
For
believe
all
in
my
yourself
personalities that are living inside me. Cool.
Yeah. Like any pack can be destroyed solely if you believe in yourself enough.
I'm a little OCD. I don't like leaving things open, so I tend to finish things too. I'm just blessed with
I eat everything
metabolism.
in packs of 2, or like things of 2. So like if I put M&Ms in my hand or something,
Oh, yeah?
I eat them 2 by 2 by color. And then I usually put one in one side of my mouth, one in the other side of my mouth. It's
Awesome.
weird.
That's great.
I think it is a little OCD
No,
or something. I don't know.
I have some things like that, but I don't stick to them. Like I think I'm like I consider myself in my head also really rebellious when I like when I eat a candy, I eat a certain type of way only. Then I'm like, you know what? Let me just like an Oreo, right? Like I'm always like
in my head I was like, I feel like he's gonna say Oreo.
It's a classic example. Like
Absolutely.
normally I twist off. I used to do this. Like I twist off a lot of the tops, the dry ones. Eat those first because they suck, and then have a better like cream to cookie ratio and just enjoy the rest of my evening. This is really cool. Which now they do double stuff, so awesome.
Yeah.
But I feel like in my head I'm like, ooh, look at you trying something new, just eating the Oreo like a normal person. Which I think the normal part is probably the twisting off, unless you're fucking weird.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I
Should be
agree. No, I
twisting, I
twist them. I think. But anyway, to get back to your point, like that was for me a little bit of a failure where I caught myself in that kind of like destructive, like I need to just eat something right now. Like, and I'm like, you know what? Do I really need that right now? No. I know I'm gonna feel like shit after this. Let's just leave it and have some water and leave my immediate space. It's like something that my therapist was like.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever just go on a walk? And I was like, what do you think? I have free time? What do you think? I care about myself?
What do you think? I have hobbies?
Yeah, no.
Episode 1. Go watch episode 1. Fuck.
But she was like a good way, like to get out of your environment, your immediate environment. It's just like, if you
Nice,
have
remove
that
yourself.
issue, go
Okay,
for a
cool.
walk. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll take the dog out. And I'm like, all right, center myself a little bit.
Nice.
Nice.
That's a nice little. I physically removing myself from the situation is not a tool I reach for often when I tend to,
It's hard.
like it really is. I think for me, it's a lot about. Do you know the marshmallow experiment? It's like, I think it's from the 70s. Have you ever heard of it?
like
Referenced in like books?
Chubby bunny. Like
No, it's like how to cook the perfect marshmallow. No, I'll wrap it up really briefly, quickly. They left kids in a room with like an assigned test, like right. And he's like, "Here's a marshmallow. Like, wait until I'll be back in like 5 minutes or like 15 or whatever." And then you get a second one, but only if you don't eat this one. And it was a long-term study to like see how they would do in life. And apparently, like your ability to withstand immediate, like the desire for immediate pleasure, for a greater future good, is a very strong indicator of how well you can do in life. Because the ability to delay gratification allows you to make a lot smarter choice. Like working out doesn't feel great while you do it. You do it because it's good for your health, mentally, physically, depending on what you do, whatever. Like there's people that abuse everything.
Right.
So where was I heading with this?
marshmallow experiment.
Yes. I was really good at that, I feel like, back when. And then I kind of let myself go, and I was like, I was always choosing instant gratification. I think it's carbonation with these spindrifts, huh? Makes them taste oh so good. I've been relearning to like delay it, and that's my tool that I try to like. I'm trying to feel into not what it would feel like to eat it right now. Like if I was with candy, for me it was drinking. Like that's why I haven't had a drink in almost half a year now. Like
Nice.
fucking, yeah, I'm going strong.
Hell yeah.
And with alcohol it's easy, right? Because you're like super fun when you drink it,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next day it's fucking crap. And it's not just the physical effects. It's also like, for me, it was like my psyche. Like I had much worse outlooks on the day if I would fuck up. But I think if you can spot yourself before you make the mistake by having a couple of tools, I think that's awesome. But when you said therapy, for me, I think a bigger thing that I learned in therapy was when I make the mistake to not get fucking so hard on myself that I would completely fall off the wagon.
That was my thing too. I told you, if I had one, I'd be like, oh well, I blew my diet for the day. I should just kill all the cookies now because A, it'll get them out of the house, and then B, today's a wash anyway because I had one.
Yeah.
It's like that all or nothing mentality. I think that's something you said just now too that resonated with me was the living in the moment, like taking that moment by moment thing. I've been like, okay, that might have not been the best decision, but that was a moment. I can move forward and make a better decision in the next one. So like, let's say you're stressed and you default and you grab a alcohol or beer or it's the same thing, but like a cookie or whatever. You're like, okay, that was a weak moment. I may have not made the right decision, but I don't have to keep going down that path. I know what's down there. I've done that. Let's take the next moment in stride and do something better. Yeah. So I think I need to get better at that as well. I think that not only in like a self-preservation, better habits kind of way, but I think even in like my scheduling, we were talking about this today. Like if I just was like, so many times people ask me like, dude, what, how are you doing? What are you up to? And so, and I truly cannot remember. Like I feel like my short-term memory is completely shot because I'm trying to do so many things at once and not just taking it moment by moment and being present. Yeah. So that's that's a really strong thing, I think, as well. To live the moments.
Huge focus for me in 25. Like I have been a lot less specific because I think that like for my 2025 goals, like podcast, yes, but like being more present is almost my sole goal for the year because I believe it'll incrementally improve all parts of my life. Yeah. So like for me, how I'm reteaching myself, like some of that delayed gratification is because I like told myself I'm going to run that marathon. Went for my first long run on Saturday, 10 miles, solid time. Felt really good about myself. Had no headphones in, which I was like, how the hell am I gonna run 10 miles without headphones? Because like, sometimes they don't connect, and I'm like, I'm already running, so I'm not gonna stop to figure it out. Like it works and literally the last 10, like after I stopped running, I like tried to connect it, worked immediately. I was like, oh, I could have had music. I'm like, it was a choice. It was good. Felt good about myself. Yeah. And so many of the times when I'm trying to like go for a run, I hear that voice in my head that's like, you're not feeling great. Like you're a little off. You might get sick. Maybe you should take it easy today. And I'm starting to consider that as like listening, as like making a mistake, listening to myself, that voice. Cause like big topic, separate episode, please, in the future. The voice in your head, I believe, isn't you. Who hears it, like who perceives it, like behind it, like that constant chatter that's going on is your mind going. It's not you though.
Interesting.
The Untethered Soul. I think I told you a little bit about that book by Michael A. Singer. Great fucking read. We'll talk about that separately. But I've been trying, like, for me, I almost consider it a mistake when I listen to that voice now. That's like, don't do it. Like, every time I've pushed through, I felt better afterwards, right? And I think that's in our generation, in our times, I think so. Like now that which is a beautiful thing. Mental health is such a predominant thing, right? People are like, no, I need to take a mental health day. I need to do this. I think people need to learn to push through a bit more, but in healthy ways. I think because we're living in such a toxic world that's like, oh, what do you mean you can't work? Just like keep working. Like, and then whatever free time we have, we spend on social media, rotting our brains away. Like, what if pushing through didn't mean do more of that, which causes you to need the mental health reset, but you push through more and be like, hey, I am going to go for that run, for that walk, to go into the mountains, hike, go surf, swim, whatever you like to do, preferably out in nature, to like get an actual reset. I think is we've forgotten that can be a much better way to cure yourself or help yourself then taking that break, which just because our breaks mean TV, our breaks mean social media, video games. That's not a break. It's not a break. Yeah.
I had the same thing. I was like, I had this in the back of my throat. I was like, I got to clear my throat at some point, and I'm waiting for my in.
Nice.
There it is.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I think, look, you and I have been in therapy for a long time now, right? And we've got some of the tools that I glad that they kind of came up naturally. Like I wanted to share some of those things, like how to deal with those smaller mistakes. But I sure as fuck know that there was so many times in my life where I wasn't fully equipped to deal with the mistakes that I was making and going through. And I think that's what we want to dive into today with our episode, to go through some of the grander things or more, defining moments in our lives, mistakes in our lives.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are tuning in randomly, like this is the new structure of the episode. We catch up a little bit for 15, 20 and then dive into the topic. If you have any topics that you guys want to have discussed, want to tune in, send them through. So you wanna kick it off? Crash, burn, learn. How have you crashed?
I mean, I think it's funny when you open a conversation like failure. I think it's an interesting topic because like the word failure itself implies that like it's a loss. It's like, oh, you failed. Like that's it. Like it's like a finite thing. Or like something that has a clear. It's like a period at the end of a sentence. You failed. Beep. That stuff. But it's really not. I think, and this could just be like my take. I personally don't think that there's like failures in life. I think like everything. Maybe not. Let me not say that. I think failure is great. That's my that's my overall point. Yeah. I think failure is awesome. It is impossible to get better if you do not fail. And I think a lot of people are so afraid of failing, myself included, that you'll put things off or you will never start what you want to do because of that fear. So I had a funny little story. I don't know how old I was, but this must have been like elementary school or something. And at one point, they class by class, they take you into the auditorium and they usher us onto the stage, and they have this long table covered in musical instruments. This was like, I don't know, I must have been like third grade or something.
That sounds like a sick ass setup.
Dude, dude, and right? Like you're showing all these kids who have never seen what this stuff looks like. You're bringing them up, and there's a guy there who's supposed to be explaining all this stuff. But basically, we had kind of free reign to walk up and down this table and, see what spoke to us. Like, there's, guitars and, whatever and all this other stuff. So I picked up...
Was there an accordion?
Maybe. I don't know. Someone's like, put that down. That's not for you, Darius. So I pick up the mouthpiece of a trumpet. Uh-huh. I had no idea what it was. It's like, you know, if you know what it looks like? It's like a little...
Naturally, you put it in your mouth.
Yeah, seriously. I put it and I started like blowing. I was just like, but nothing came out because I didn't know.
You're like, this is a cute tiny instrument.
Like, what is this? And I just like put it like, nothing happened. But the guy behind the table was like, what are you doing? That's not how you do that. Yeah. Like, you're doing it wrong. And immediately started getting on me. Uh-huh. And I chucked it back on the table and wanted nothing to do with any of the rest of the instruments. Because I was so embarrassed of being like, oh, that's wrong. I don't want, and that I think is like a failure. Yeah. Where it's like, okay, I tried this thing randomly, immediately was met with like a negative sort of, feedback. It's like, I don't want to touch that.
Yeah,
and to this day,
you made a mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
And to this
day,
I still
it was called out by the world as a mistake. In
front of people.
Yeah.
And then that kind of turned me off to like instruments in general. I was like, well, I don't want to, if I don't know how, why would I even start? I don't want this kind of feedback whenever I, try. Yeah. So that I thought like, all that's to say, the fear there that was instilled in me, I think from that little moment was like, okay, I don't want to do this. Yeah.
Dude, that's it's funny that you go to like so first of all, I literally wrote down there are no mistakes, just unrecognized lessons, right?
That's good.
So very much the same thing. Like I don't believe that there are failures. It's only a failure if you fucking do it over and over again, like, and you keep like, you know what I mean? Like as long as you keep trying. And then we can go into the classic motivational shit, like Michael Jordan, right? Like, how many shots did he miss for every one that he made? Like, it'll probably be outnumber 1,000 to 1, right? Because you need to, you're not failing. You're just not as good as you'd like to be yet. So you're getting better, right? But I played soccer growing up for like a decade. And I also had this male person. For me, it was my coach. I thought about like, big failures, and I had a hard time coming up with anything because, again, I don't see him because I'm so fucking great.
Really tough time.
No, because I
coming
don't
up with it.
see him that way. I'm like literally like I look back. I'm like I've made mistakes, but I don't see them as failures, and like definitely not like anything spectacular. You know what I mean? Crash, burn, learn, and that is a learning process to me. That's not a mistake process, right? But I stood in front of the empty goal. Pass came. It was like it was in a tournament. I vaguely remember the setting, and I missed the fucking shot, right?
Okay.
And homie gets off on me just how I like it.
Your homie just gets off all over you.
All over.
And you're pissed, but you're liking it a little bit.
It's
you're like,
warm,
oh
it feels
man,
good.
yeah. You're like, oh, I don't know. This could be my new thing.
And that's how I learned to turn the soccer mistake into a porn career. Yeah. He fucking gets in my face, yells at me in front of other people. Embarrassment, I think, is a big part of like failure and like feeling bad about yourself. My coach. Yeah. This is the like we ended up losing the game, or I think it was a tie and we could have won it, but we needed the points. Whatever. We're back in the locker room, and he's like, "Yeah, Marcel, fucking this, that," like, and goes off, and I'm like, as a kid, you're like, "Oh my god, this fucking sucks. Like, I hate soccer. Like, I should have made that. How could I not?" Like, you start internalizing that exact dialogue. And that's actually, you know how I talked about that voice in your head before not being you? Yeah. But that fucker who was like, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong. Take that thing out of your mouth. You don't know nothing about fucking, right? And my coach is like, those are adult men who have their own shit, right? Can't deal with it, let it out on kids who then internalize that shit. They are the fucking voice. Yeah. The voice are many people. Like, it's all the influences like over the time, but like, that voice going off in your head is much more the outside world and what you've lived through than who you truly are, like at the essence, right? So, yeah, it took a long, like as a kid, because like how you don't know what's what, you don't even know that you were in the right. Like, you're a kid, you're exploring, you're supposed to do that, right? Yeah. You don't know that adults can have faults and shortcomings and misdirect those, right? So, yeah, I went back to a childhood memory as well from like my first big failure, because that's when I felt like a failure and like kept that with me for so long, where it's like, dude, I had fun moments playing soccer. I love the sport of soccer, football, for everybody that's getting mad of you 42 listening. But I hated playing in that team. I hated it. Like, the pressure was always, it was never like, yo, put your body over the ball so that when it comes in, you're not shooting up. Like, that's how you do that. And then, like, just, you don't have to push, like, just let it bounce off. You're right in front of the goal. Like, there was no, this is what went wrong. This is how you can improve. This is me putting that into action. It was, you fucked up. The fuck am I going to do with that? Yeah. And if you talk to yourself in that way, man, like, don't. Like, and the voice in your head, like, is the one that does that. And I think so many men do that, right? If that was an external person, like if that was my coach or like that dude sitting beside you, and like you're going about life, you're making a song, I'm coming up with a video, and then the voice goes off and it's like, fucking like, are you sure you want to do that? You might fuck up again, like you might be embarrassed again. But if you think that that's like the coach sitting there and he's like, oh, you sure you want to do that? You might fuck. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Yeah. Shut the fuck up. Like, I'm gonna go do this, right? Like, because especially now, like, you're old enough to learn. Like, even if I fuck up, okay, I fuck up. Like, I'm grateful I fucked up, because if I fuck up, next time I won't. That means I've grown.
Well, I think that was a key that you hit pretty hard. You did this thing with your hands where you were like, look, if you fail, you adjust course or whatever, and then ultimately you won't.
Well, this is, you fucked up. This is what you could have done. This is me putting it into action. Like,
perfect. Yeah. But that is how I believe failure should be and should be looked at. I think a lot of people think, like I said before, failure is like this end all, like, oh, well, I failed, but I got to put it down and never touch it again because I'm a failure. You know? I think if we're going off of what you said, okay, you fucked up. It's not necessarily a failure. You fucked up, or you estimated wrong, or you went right when you should have gone left. Like this, from the smallest thing to the biggest thing. You fucked up. Here's your takeaways. How can you restructure to then attack the same thing or the next thing a different way and succeed?
Yeah.
That's how failure should be.
Right.
In my head.
Dude, I had this random thing I on this app pop up for me today, and I'm currently on like interhuman relations. Sums up books and puts them into a neat order. And it was differentiating, like, and this was in a study, people who have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset are a lot more capable of doing what we're talking about. Because if you think you are the way you are and you can't change, then criticism and like failure and mistakes mean that you're not good enough. But if you have a growth mindset, you say, I am constantly growing. I am not a done deal. Not everything is pre-written. That means if I make a mistake now, it's okay because that was Marcel from a moment ago. The next moment, tomorrow, in a month, in a year, I can be Marcel who got that shit down, right? Yeah. And I think that's super interesting. And I think like, a very base level of like picking some guys up of like, you're not, if you don't want to be, right? You don't have to stay the same person. Like you get to choose who you are in life. And that is something that is so fucking simple, but I keep learning it more every day at the age of 33. I get to choose if I want to sit on the couch and have another potato chip. One potato chip. That sounds ridiculous.
I'm gonna have one more chip.
One more chip. That'll be nice. Or if I get up and go run. That's the only thing in this goddamn life that you can control. Everything else is outside your control. But you got you. And if you please just believe that you can do more than what you think you can, you open up your entire life, everything that you can be. Like people go from homeless to millionaire. Yeah. Like that's, you know what I mean? That's not even necessarily uncommon. No, probably is.
It's a little uncommon. I think I'd try homelessness if it was pretty common that you go from homeless to millionaire.
Yeah, that was a shitty, stupid thing to say. I do watch.
But you learn and you go on to the next, and the next thing you say will be better.
Hey, you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right?
I've seen a couple episodes.
Okay, so like in so many ways, I am Jake Peralta, the main character of the show, because he'll say all this shit and then be like, yeah, that was stupid. Why would I say that? But like out loud, not just in his head. I want to do that more. I want to like call myself out more. Like, why the fuck did you just say that? That was weird. Let's keep moving. Yeah. And then keep learning.
Nice. I like that. Do you have a failure? Like, 'cause I know like part of what we want to talk about today was like your favorite failure, like something that you think kind of changed how you look at or move through situations, whether it be life, your job, your personality, your way of looking at the world. Like, do you have like an example that you can pull from that might be helpful to people?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some really dope Uggs out there right now. I want to start with saying that. I actually want to go buy myself the ones that are like dipped in the gum. I used to, they're
dipped
like
in gum?
not gum, like a rubber, like dipped in rubber. It's super fucking dope Ugg boots.
Cool.
I am a fan of the brand in general. But you remember how like there was this whole Abercrombie and Fitch and Ugg boot, like sweatpants into Ugg boots type era. Yeah. And I was from Germany. And I thought it was really cool. And I was like really getting into it when I moved to America. So I wore that for a while, and then stopped because basically all my friends were like, "What are you, like a 16-year-old girl?" And I was like, no, I'm not.
I'm comfortable. What are you?
These are surfer's boots, just so you know. And so I stopped wearing them. And about a year or two later, Ugg came around with, at that time, was like one of my biggest paychecks. They're like $5,000 for 2 blog posts. So I was like, what do I got to do? Wear Uggs. I'm like, okay, I can do that. I can withstand it. I took them, I wasn't with the product at that moment in time. I wasn't with the product. I took the money. I sold out. For me, that was a failure at the moment, right? I took those. I did the best I could, which was horrible. Fucking the outfit is horrible. Oh, man. I'm not going to blend it in again because, like, I feel like half the podcast is me and my bad outfits. But you can go back on my blog if you want to see it. yeah, it was a shit outfit, and I posted it, and the backlash was horrible, and like it felt even worse to me. Like people were like, "Oh my god, that looks like ass!" Like literally, and that was when I was so small. Still, I had such a tight community. People wouldn't shit on me. Like they were all there. Like I've almost like it felt like I knew everybody by name. I didn't. I had obviously had some followers. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten $5,000 for it. But yeah, I sold out. That was the first time I sold out, and the sleepless nights, and like I felt like I betrayed my following. I felt like I betrayed myself. I felt like I betrayed the brand even to an extent because I didn't like fully endorse it. So that was I felt miserable, and ever since I haven't sold out. Like I have taken some brands that like taken on some jobs that are maybe a little bit outside of mine, but where I could be like, yeah, no, I fuck with that. I've also turned down a $50,000 job for Jägermeister because that's what my dad drank, and he died an alcoholic and a diabetic. And I was like, I'm not going to work with Jägermeister. Yeah. So I've taken what I've learned in that, and I feel good about it. So I crashed by accepting. I burned at night sleeplessly. And I learned not to fucking do that again because not just some things, but so many things in life are just not worth the money. Yeah. So, yeah, my very first inch away from capitalism.
Wow.
Yeah.
Takes
come a long way since.
Immediately regrets it.
Like, fuck. I want a Lambo so bad.
Good story, dude. That's like a solid.
Thanks. Yeah.
And I feel like it's good too because in your line of work, in our line of work,
you do the same thing. Yeah. Well done.
That is, I feel like a problem that a lot of people face now. I feel like, especially like the younger generation, like a lot of the, I feel like there's a lot of content creators, a lot of TikTok creators or Instagram or whatever, who are probably on like hurdling that line of like, okay, do I take the money on this or do I stick to what I believe in?
Yeah. It's tough. With Timo in your inbox every day, like, we want to collab. Yeah. Timo, what's the other one? The real bad one. Shein.
Oh, Shein, yeah.
Dude, like literally, so like a homie of mine recently, like I know he's been like dying to get his first job, and he's like, yo, I got a collab offer, like how should I respond to this? And I was like, who's the client? And he was like, Shein. I'm like, bro, don't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get that you want to do this for money. This is we talked about side hustles last week, and that growing that into your main hustle and making that a thing. But you want to do it right. You want to do it right from day one.
Absolutely.
I think.
Absolutely.
Well, how about you? Big turning point.
Well, I have like two different ones. Just because I fail so much. I'm not like you.
Shut up.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. That caught me for a second.
I don't know if I've talked about this before. I feel like I have at some point, like my origin story or whatever. When I was first starting off making content, I was starting to work with Epicurious, which I think we've talked about briefly, the cooking show.
Yes. On YouTube.
Yes. Yeah. One of the first episodes that I ever did with them was the grilled cheese sandwich. Right?
Which is a song. Tune in, Daniel Victor on Spotify, grilled cheese. Check out the music video.
Absolutely.
It's your boy. Not enough. He had me show up to be in the video for 5 seconds, but hey, it's fine.
Hey, you gotta blame my sister on that. She made all the executive cuts.
I already did.
Good.
It's fine.
So the grilled cheese sandwich was the thing, and I remember really being like cocky on arrogant trying to go into it, because like it's a grilled cheese sandwich. It's the easiest thing you could make in theory. And I'm a level 2. I'm supposed to be like this level 2 elevated home cook. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do this like thing I've never really done before. And it's going to come out cool, whatever. And I think, and this is where the whole example with me being a child at this musical instrument table is because I feel like it all came down to this fear. Like I was really genuinely scared walking on set, being like, okay, this is my first time doing this with this team. I don't want to fail, And in the fear and anticipation of making a mistake, which I end up doing, it almost like it becomes like this self-fulfilling prophecy where like you're scared of it and like you end up doing it, and it's like anyway. So I'm like telling the story in the future and the past at the same time. Get to set, and I'm overly confident, very cocky, just like, trying to like express this very, I know what I'm doing because I'm a level 2 chef, and what up? This is it. I'm finally on the show, like whatever, I'm like half shaking, like hoping the cameras
up here,
don't.
all
yeah,
business down here,
I'm
fucking
like,
little boy trembling.
Seriously, and long story short. Burnt the absolute shit out of the sandwich. The internet and dude, and it's right after I'm like, yeah, if you put mayonnaise on the bread, there's no way the sandwich can burn. I said that on camera, and then you know what they cut to? A clip of me flipping the sandwich to just a completely black side, and then me in the background going, yeah, it's almost done. And everyone in the comments was like, brother, almost? What do you eat, charcoal? Like, are you serious?
That's amazing.
I got ripped apart.
Oh, of course you did.
Completely ripped apart. This is my first time ever being like in any sort of like the public eye, whatever, was me completely botching this grilled cheese sandwich. And then the comments are just like, this dude should fucking die. Die. Because you can't, you suck. This
dude doesn't get to play with
confident.
any of the instruments because he took the little thing in his mouth.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, I take a lot of things in my mouth, but but that was like, I think from that point, 2 things happened. One, that sort of jump-started my career, at least with like a following, because so many people hated me that they were like, what is this guy up to? Yeah. What is I got?
How the fuck did he
I
end up here?
I can't wait to shit on this guy in more places.
Like everybody being like, I can do better than him in my kitchen. So like, why the fuck are you there?
That kind of jump started my career. So that failure was like one of the first things that kind of kick started me even getting into social media and being on camera more and like that kind of stuff. Because the episode ended up doing well, and they're like, oh well, gotta bring him back because the numbers look great on that. Even though it was a failure, that whole thing turned into like I've done tons of episodes with them now.
Yeah.
So not only that, but also it was if we're looking at your diagram of like you fuck up, you make necessary adjustments. That was my crash course, like a live action crash course of how to be more myself on camera. Because it was very clear that I was really feigning confidence and trying to be somebody that I was not. I wanted to appear as this, really polished, I know exactly what I'm doing. And it went horribly wrong. So, okay, well, that didn't work. I should just be more like myself.
Yeah.
So through that failure, which at the point I was like, that was catastrophic. I was like, people fucking hate me. So then not only having like more opportunity after that, but then a new framework of how to view the work and how I should be going into jobs really has helped me moving forward in like the other things that I do now.
Yeah.
So I think that was a main failure for me that I was like, okay, well, that was huge. But at the same time, I think the growth from that and the lesson I learned from that has really made for a more seamless work life where I kind of know how to navigate a little bit more. I'm not so like, if I'm nervous, I'll say that. I'll be like, hey, I'll be right with you guys. I'm like kind of nervous right now. I don't feel the need to act like something I'm not anymore just because I'm in front of a camera.
And that's so fucking cool because like I think it was last episode actually, but it wasn't on like the main topic, but this whole idea of like, oh yeah, when we fucked up the beginning of the episode, it's like that's who we were at the moment. I prefer now to like stick with that, and then come for us and rip us apart. That's fine. It's a lot easier, I think, to when you're staying true to yourself to see other people coming at you for no reason. It's like, yeah, we fuck up, like okay.
Yeah.
Versus if we had stopped that episode, started over, and then we're like faking the same combo we had already had for 5 minutes, and then people are like, you guys sound like that sounds so rehearsed, and I would have been like,
you're right.
Then it hurts because you're right.
Yeah.
Then you're right, and then it's that's a great lesson to be learning.
Yeah.
But like, look at this. Like, do you want to do one more
Failure
each or no?
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. I'm curious to hear what kind of failures you got.
Yeah, I mean, I
burnt the toast this morning, so I figured, just got to dial it back to a 3 instead of a 6, and the toast will come out nice.
Dude, I mean, failure is, past week too, and overall, like my Instagram's been shrinking. Like I'm literally down like some 30,000 followers. Granted, I removed some spam account, like 15,000 spam accounts, but like I've just been shrinking because people aren't fucking with it anymore. I'm like, damn, feels like a failure, but I'm like reshifting. I'm like, oh, maybe it's the people who don't want to see my content leaving. I'm like, fantastic. Yeah. But a couple big ones, and one that I can't discuss in full detail because there was some legal stuff towards the end that I'm literally not going to mention any parties or any scenario, but like Ankari Floors, my shoe brand that I had with my homie Modi, that was going sick and wonderful, right? And then we got into Nordstrom, and we were like in a bunch of stores across the US, and we're like flying out, meeting the teams, giving them like product knowledge on our new collection. Like, it was fucking sick. Flew to Italy to our factory, and like handmade shoes. People loved it. People for years after we didn't know that we shut it down. We thought we would bring it back. People were for years asking about like, hey, is Ankari Floors coming back? I still wear these shoes. Like my friends who have some in Germany are still wearing them. Like, it's fucking crazy. So when COVID hit, Nordstrom canceled an order. They canceled all footwear orders because it's fucking COVID. Yeah. And then we had a legal issue. No one's wearing shoes. Everybody's staying inside. No one's buying. Absolutely. Shoes. We had a legal issue that ended up. There was two big things at the same time, and in the end, like Modi and I decided that we're not going to piece it back together and build it back up again. And that took a long time to like swallow that. A large part of the failure is obviously not COVID; it's the other thing, and like I wrote it down. I don't want to put myself in a situation here because like it's done. It's a done deal, and like all parties went their ways, and we're fine now. But it felt a little bit like a failure to let this thing that was giving us so much joy and had some success to like just let it go, too, and to like why this came up or why I thought I wanted to include this in particular is also this. You gotta know sometimes when it's time to walk away from something, right? Yeah. Like when to call it not a failure, but a lesson to be learned rather than a project that you keep up. Because I was so miserable for so many months when we tried to keep this thing alive and it was rotting away. And honestly, it hurt so much more than if we just like, when the issues are like, we're like, liquidate the inventory, we're out of here. We're not going to survive this. Obviously, you had to fucking fight. We did it.
Of course.
Really, really hard, but then so freeing. And I think that's something, this is a big thing for me, but I think that's something that men in general have a really hard time with, especially like maybe our older generation, this like being called out on something and having to overplay it rather than just being like, yep, I fucked up. I was like, no, like, look, we went to brunch yesterday. And when we got in the car, Clara was like, oh, there's Sprite everywhere. And I was kind of mad about it. And I fully knew that there was Sprite there because the kid had spilled it, and I forgot to clean it or mention it or anything. Yeah. But she was mad about it. Like she was like, not in a great mood. Fucking, who cares? Happens. But then I got super defensive. So I was like, oh yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I was like, what am I doing? It's a small mistake. Yeah. And it's these small things also where you're like, just take accountability. And I fucked up. What's the worst that can happen, man? Like if there's a person who's like, oh, you know what? Well, then screw you. Then you're this, and that. Then like you're doing yourself a favor by being honest. If they're gonna react to you that way, let them walk, right? But anybody who's really on your side, on your team, was gonna be like, it's fine. Just try and do better, or like, can you help me fix it? Or like, can you please, like they'll talk to you. They'll work with you. Yeah. But I noticed that like, because Clara and I have such a beautiful, honest relationship, that like I went to bed and I remembered that I didn't come clean, as we already said like good night. So I was like, fuck, like I'm not gonna wake her to like come clean now. I did it in the morning, but like I had a shittier night's sleep because of it. And then in the morning I was like, and she's like, oh babe, it's no problem. We like laughed about it. I laughed over her being like a little sensitive at the moment. I laughed. She laughed at me like feeling the need to be defensive over it. So knowing that it's okay to accept your failures and to recognize them and to put your ego aside and just like own them. Whether it's big, which means closing down a company, or small, which means like, yeah, fuck, I should have cleaned the car or told you about it. I forgot, you know?
That's even a good message for, I think, dudes in general, like, because your friends will fuck up, like, not coming down super hard. Like, I'm all for ripping on your homies, you know? I love making fun of all my friends, you know? And they make fun of me, and I welcome it, like you should. But I think, you know, for things like that, where it might be a little bit more sensitive or something that, you know, is any sort of failure, not coming down super hard and being understanding and being able to talk through some stuff, and like that is good friendship.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. Because why
like,
would you like you? We all make fucking mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's to me the point of this, right? Like, crash, burn, learn. We all crash. We all burn. So many of us don't learn, and I think so many of us don't learn because they want to hide that they burned. They want to hide that they crashed. But if we all just like got on the same level and be like, we all fuck up, that's okay. So we can talk about it more, and we can pull our homies, our loved ones, even our parents into the conversation. Be like, my coach, your dude. It's like, instead of like, fuck you, it's like, come here. This is how you actually use this little wooden piece, right? Yeah. Or this is how you position your body to make that goal. This is how you apologize to your fiance. This is how you step up to your business partner and like take accountability. We don't have a strong network of support around us because people are so accustomed to hiding their flaws. Yeah. And that sucks, I think.
No, absolutely. I'm with you. Did you want my last?
I do. Yeah, I kind of like, it felt like a natural thing to like low-key put like a cap on the thingy, but I do want to know how you fucked up. Is it a light one?
No, I mean, it's kind of light. I mean, it's sort of. It was.
No,
it
let's
go. So I.
This is your time. You paid for it. This is your therapy session.
Yeah. No, I'm from upstate New York, like very small town called Boston Spa in upstate New York, and during I think like middle school through high school, like I was very involved in the church. Like that's how I got into performing in front of people more actively, like how I really like discovered that I really enjoy performing in front of people as a part of the worship team. You know, so we get up there, shredded, just like
Christian rock.
Yeah, Christian rock, like, you know, dope. So dope.
Some of my favorites.
Just the hits, you know. But I was at the same time also doing my own secular music, like my own, hip hop and poppy stuff, just like, you know, making live music. So they were like, oh, you rap, like you like to rap. We should use that in the church. And I was like, fucking, yeah, you should, dude. What do you,
I'd
yes.
be fucking sick at it.
I think Jesus would love that, you know? Like, obviously. So every now and again, they would put me in, and I was like the rapper. And it was like so sick, so tight. There were two different times when it was like a quick turnaround kind of thing.
Sorry, do you have a video? I need to see
I could I can find some
I need to see it privately.
I'm sure I can find
Sorry, I can't.
You'll actually love the outfits. It's a lot of, a lot of untucked
sick.
Shirts.
Okay.
A lot of untucked baggy button-down shirts.
No,
and,
sorry. You're going somewhere deeper with this. I just couldn't get the image up.
Anyway, I could probably find some videos.
Thank you.
Anywho, there were two different times when it was a tight turnaround on the performance that had to happen. They're like, okay, one time I had to write my own thing for this, like, I don't know if it's like a Christmas special or something, but they had two rappers. I was one of them to do like a 16-bar back and forth rhyme scheme type of thing. And another time was a song that another musician was like, hey, I want to do this song. There's a rap verse in it. You should just do the rap portion of the song. Both separate times, did not prepare enough, forgot the lyrics on stage in front of people. Which I don't know if you've ever done, but fucking terrifying. Okay? Like, shit. And the second one too, like the first one was almost okay because they had our lyrics because we were going kind of fast. They had our lyrics on this, on the thing. So I literally for some parts was like turn and look at the words and be like, oh, that is what I wrote. Let me just try to say that. But this other one was like, I don't know why I felt so confident in this. Like, again, it's just a whole like overconfident thing. I was like, yeah, I'm a rapper. I got this. I'll whatever. Did not put enough time into the preparation. Got to showtime and was like running in my head a little bit. Just did not spend enough time on it. Got out, did the first 2 words with a whole band up there. The whole band's like killing it. And there's people, in front of the stage. Like, it's just like more like a youth service. So like they're like, oh, everyone's in front, whatever. I come out, do the first 2 words, and then everything just leaves my brain. And I was like, oh, we are rogue now. It was
that
like
is 110% my humor. Those videos I watch and die laughing.
Dude, I just like said something, and then tried to. I was like, we just got to give it up for God, man. Like, this is just, and then I ran off stage. And, like, literally looked at the dude who invited me, who was playing guitar or bass or whatever, as he was looking at me like, what the fuck? And then I just ran off stage.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that, and I was like, oh my God, that was so embarrassing, like such a failure. I don't think the people noticed, like, at all. Like, obviously the musicians were like, what the fuck was that? We got to figure out how to, make this whole again.
Nice.
But
But you were a good artist. You played it off in a way that I was like,
they were like, okay,
give it
they
up for
didn't
God,
know. Sure,
everybody.
we're just here, yeah. But all that to say, that was also a lesson where I was like, okay, if I really want to do this, like this is where I want to be. I enjoy this a lot. I love being here and performing. I really got to take this seriously. I can't half-ass it. Like, I'm not.
Yeah. Nice.
I mean, if we're looking at all these scenarios, it kind of looks like I just come out of the gate a little too cocky and confident in myself. I need to get humbled. The universe is like, dude, slow your roll, pal, But all that to say, like, that was a time, again, where it was in my head, like, oh my God, catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
I've never embarrassed myself that hard in front of an audience in that way and let people down in the process. Man, super hard on myself after that. Absolutely brutal. But looking back on it now, and even like following up, like a couple weeks, like, we ended up talking after. It's like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. It's okay. But just having that now in my arsenal of mindset things, I'm like, okay, that can happen. That is an absolute worst case scenario. How can I prep for the next one to make sure that never happens again? And since that time, knock on wood, God forbid, I have not messed up on stage like that before. I have once, but I did one time actually at a So Far show, and I just started the whole song over. I went and I messed up one word and then freestyled an extra bar and a half. I was like, you know what, guys? I'm just gonna stop this. I fucked up, and I forgot the words to my own song. I'm just gonna run that back real quick.
Jesus Christ! Thank you for adding that part to the story. I was like, bro, that's literally like the opposite. Like, you're like, I'm trying to like protect my insecurity, so no, that's not good. Like, you gotta embrace your mistake. If it's on stage, it's on stage.
I didn't even write that down. I forgot that even happened until
That's
just now. So
amazing.
I literally in front of another same kind of deal, doing the song.
Yeah.
Had my sister and a buddy of mine was playing guitar, and then I fucked up the lyrics and just had everything stop. And I was like, bro, like, I fucked up real quick. Let's just go back and do it again.
That's growth. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Right? Like, that's fucking cool. It's taking the work seriously and putting it in, but not overly so that you're like, no shit, I gotta do it because I gotta protect myself from ever feeling that again. Fuck
Right.
that. Like, mistakes are gonna happen. Period. Cool, man.
Yeah.
I wanna thank you for sharing that. That's
Of course.
That was really cool. A fun way to end the episode. And I really, if he sends it to me in time, I will include the video clip at the end of this episode.
I might. I'll see what my sister. I think Victoria's got it somewhere on a drive. But I think,
Nice.
look, all that's to say, if we're gonna like put a button on the episode,
Do it.
Failure's not bad.
Yeah.
Failure is exactly what you need to get to the next step of where you want to be. I think that we demonize failure and we shit on failure, and people who fail, we make fun of them, and it's like embarrassing. You got to cast all that away and really take it for what it is. It's you trying something new or something you're not necessarily good at, not being where you want to be at that, whatever level is, and you have to take that and adjust to do better next time.
Yes,
Failure is a part of the process. Do not let the fear stop you from ever even trying.
Amen, brother.
That would be my little cap
Amen.
on that.
Praise to God.
Yeah, praise be. Thank you, thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the episode. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Yeah.
I'm not here alone. I'm here with you.
I
fucked up.
would like to think that they enjoyed it.
See you guys next week.
Have a good one.
We fucked that one
I
up
fucked the
even.
handshake up. You know what?
It's we good.
We're done.